Welcome back to another podcast episode, everybody. Happy Saturday. We are in a new corner of my house. This is my new favorite wall. It gives European vibes, which I am honestly just craving right now. I have had these impulsive thoughts of just moving to Europe and just starting brand new, but obviously I can't with the amount of responsibilities that I have here. Anyway, this weekend is supposed to be very chill for me. It was just supposed to be an errands day. Got everything done, and then tomorrow I'm gonna be going up to LA to pick up some pottery that I made about 3 weeks ago, and then I will be hanging out with a friend and going to a fair. But that's about it. And I'm starting to feel this increase in boredom. I don't know where it's coming from. I feel like with this new schedule that I have 3 days off. I work 4 days. Although it is a delight to have and a great privilege to be able to work this schedule, I feel like there are some cons to it if you're like me, who always needs fun things to happen in order to feel something in life. I cannot sit still lately. I cannot just stay home. It bothers me to be in my bed all day. It bothers me to just be home and not get ready, not have plans with friends and not talk to somebody. It feels uncomfortable to me now, and I fear that this might do me wrong for the next couple of, I don't know how long, but the fact that I can't sit still on my own in my own comfort space is very concerning. So I have been, to kind of make up for this boredom or this lack of enjoyment that I'm feeling, this plateau, I have been splurging a lot. I've been buying a lot of things, buying a lot of clothes, makeup, shoes, and other things. And although I have been a practicing minimalist for the past couple of years since I believe high school, it's been fun. It's been a fun period to just kind of indulge myself and splurge on things that I usually would hold back for most of my teenage years. So it's fun to finally be able to experience all of these new things. But like I said, I am reaching this plateau where nothing is fun anymore. There's nothing for me to look forward to. And I'm starting to get in my thoughts, and I'm starting to internalize some of the decisions that I made the past couple of months. And I'm wondering if did I make too harsh of a choice, too harsh of a turn, like a 180 turn. But I don't really regret anything that I've done so far. The trips that I've planned, events that I've gone to with friends, they were all so fun and very new, very outside of my comfort zone. So I know that stepping out of this would really help me grow as a person and learn things about myself. So I don't regret it, but it is not a pleasant thing to feel this boredom, this plateau, this emotion that there's nothing else that I can look forward to because I did everything that I did. But I know that this is just like a moment. It's having a little moment. And after a while, I'll be back to where I started this year. But it is just hard to sit with, at least for the last couple of weeks, just trying to process things that I don't really want to look back on, honestly. But here we are. I feel like after 3 months, that's my max. I usually would go back to what makes me feel comfortable, makes me feel like home. But for sure that's a pattern. But I'm trying to get out of it, and I'm just trying to stay within the same routine that I've set for myself the past 3 months, and just avoid any distractions, avoid any thoughts that I know would send me down a rabbit hole. So it's a lot of intentional energy that I'm putting myself consciously, just trying to stay away from these ideas, some thoughts and feelings, especially like some songs trigger some emotions in me, so I'm very careful about what I listen to, and things that just cross my mind when I'm just driving or when I'm sitting or walking alone. Very, very dangerous space right now, I would say, because I feel like one single thought would send me back to where I was in square one, and I don't want to go back there. But I think momentarily I did do that. And I don't regret it. It was something that I needed to do in order to get closure. It was something that I needed to do to just get an itch out. But I think that happens to everybody. I actually finished watching Temptation Island on Netflix. It's a new dating show. The new season came out on Netflix, and I love dating shows. I love learning how people function. I love the reasoning behind some decisions that these couples make, and I love seeing how selfish humans are. I like analyzing behavior. I did study psychology, but this show made me cry on several episodes, and it was the first dating show that I've ever felt that way. It felt like I was going through a breakup on my own, and it was just so sad. It was so raw, and the decisions that these the real life people have made are some things that, if you really do look at it rationally, it's something that everybody would do. It's something that everyone is vulnerable to and are prone to do. Mistakes and errors that everybody makes. But I feel like because this is a reality show, people have, the freedom to say whatever they want and share their opinion. But I feel like there's this specific couple on the show. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and watch it. I don't want to spoil anything. But I have been talking to my coworkers about the show for the past couple of weeks, and I've actually gotten them to start watching it. But yeah, I feel like everybody at least once they go back. They have a moment of weakness and they fold and they go back to what makes them feel like home. And I think people need to stop holding that against themselves, especially, and other people as well. Because if you know somebody, a good friend, or someone, just a good friend who is having a relationship problem, and their relationship has gone through so many episodes of just fighting through it and ugly episodes as well, but a lot of people nowadays, the first instance or the first reaction is to run away from the problem. And I think not a lot of people, especially friends, encourage their friends to work a problem out instead of running away or exiting or leaving a relationship because it sounds toxic. But everybody in our generation, I feel, are just emotionally immature. We are very spoiled with the fact that we have dating apps, and seeing a person, if you wanted to sleep with somebody, you could do that in a minute while just being on your phone. So we are very spoiled with so many options, and the accessibility of just dating somebody or meeting new people, it's right there in our fingertips. And so that's why I think people don't really see the value of things anymore. I feel like relationships value has gone down in the market just because nobody really believes in genuine connection anymore. But before we get into that, before I want to talk about this specific couple, Shantae and Brione, oh my god, I feel kind of bad because they have gotten so much hate since the show released. And initially I felt the same way, but the more I think about it, like I said, some people are just very vulnerable to the things that they are familiar with. It is not easy. And I think a lot of the audience, the public, they are projecting the way that they feel towards this specific this specific couple, because they don't want to accept that this is something that they would also do, which is to go back to a toxic relationship. And as much as people hate the decisions that were made in that relationship, I think that it's something that people should find relatable, if anything, people, I feel like, should be more forgiving and understanding of this couple. Granted, these are completely real people and they are not fiction. These people have emotions, they feel things when they see, like comments that are left on their Instagram and their social media. These things could affect a person's mental health. So I hope people really just kind of think before they leave comments like that on another person's social media. I know this is very naive of me because I know that this has been going on for a while, and I've never really been the type to partake in public opinions. I usually keep, if I see something online that I don't like, I keep it to myself because I know how detrimental it is for a person's psychological being, especially if you're a public figure. But I understand the argument that these figures decide they should know what they signed up for, but I feel like people could be a little bit kinder to each other. That's just my 2 cents. But anyway, what I was talking about, the relationship, like, the act of going back to a toxic relationship, whether it was toxic or it was just, not compatible, I think people need to be more forgiving. Second chances are very important, I want to say, just because it allows a person to grow. It allows a person to make changes and to work on themselves. I don't believe that it's everyone's responsibility to give a second chance, but if you are within the capacity emotionally and mentally to give another second chance and to give another round and to go through all of the trauma that you've had together, I would say go for it, because it's not just a learning lesson for the other person but also for yourself. Learning the boundaries that you wish you had upheld, boundaries that you want to add to your list, and just things that you won't tolerate anymore, things that you actually liked. And probably when you were dating this person initially, you were too immature or too young to see the bigger picture. Everybody goes on a high. Everybody is on a high when they're in a relationship, and you can't really think straight when you're inside the relationship or when you're actively part of a relationship. And that's just how it is. That's why we have friends who we go to get some advice and to get a second opinion on things. But like I said, not that I advocate for second chances, third chances, whatever it is. I understand the argument that if you give a person another chance, you're most likely degrading your value as a person, because if there's a falling out, that means a boundary was crossed. And if you were unable to hold or upkeep your boundary, then that means you do not respect yourself. At least from what I understand it now, at this certain time, if you don't keep your boundary and you don't actually practice what you say, then you are disrespecting yourself and your value as a person goes down. And that's exactly how the other person perceives you, is that you can say what you want, but you don't really follow it. So I'm just going to keep doing it again. I'm going to keep hurting you. I'm going to keep hurting you until I can, if I can get away with it, I'll get away with it. And I think I can only let that slide once. And I'm usually now, actually, after watching that show, I am more open to second chances, just because of the idea of the potential and seeing through a relationship to the fullest until you've exhausted everything that you could in a relationship to salvage it. I think it's very important that you get to that point before you leave a relationship, because you'll end up having regrets. And that's exactly what happens now. I think, at least from what I see from other relationships and from those around me, is that people usually walk out before they could get fully hurt and learn something from it. People walk out and then they just have this perception that the other person is who's at fault, and nobody really can own up to their own mistake in a relationship, which is very, very dangerous to walk around society with that mindset, because you'll end up passing that trauma to somebody else. So I hope, I don't even know what I'm trying to say with this, but this has just been on my mind since I watched that dating show. Second chances, I think it's not that bad of an idea to give a second chance to somebody who you've shared a good couple years with, because like I said, people make mistakes, and the same way that you will make mistakes on your own, even whether it's explicit or implicit. I'm sure everybody has had committed a mistake in a relationship. It doesn't have to be emotionally cheating or physically cheating with somebody, but just not even listening to your partner or not paying attention to their problems. That's a mistake on your side, because you could be loyal, but you're not present when it comes to your partner's concerns. And that, I would say, is not a good characteristic to have in a relationship, because the relationship is supposed to be, your team. You listen to each other, you communicate, and you're considerate of the other person's feelings. But if you are still selfish and you're not able to give yourself and your time and your emotional emotional comfort to another person, then why are you in a relationship? That was just everything that I wanted to say. I don't want to get too much into it because I could just go on and on about relationships, and not really the best time to be talking about relationships right now, but that's my 2 cents about this whole dating reality show that just came out recently. It just triggered some thoughts that I've had, but I hope that I want to talk about these things, but I don't want to keep going on about it. I hope, some people can give a reaction to some of the things that I've said. If there's something that you guys don't agree, I want to know. I want to learn. I want to know the other side and what are the other paths to go about this kind of situation. Yeah, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to interact with you guys again. But that is everything that I want to talk about, at least for today. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll try to kind of document my weekend through shorts. So go ahead and go over to my shorts section. I've been having a lot of fun with it. But yeah, oh my god, it feels weird to just kind of abruptly end it. Anyway, I have to, because otherwise I'm gonna spiral. You guys have a great weekend and stay safe out there. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.